In addition to Trooper Proctor interviewing you on the 29th, you also gave extensive testimony on April 26th, 2022 in front of a state court grand jury, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked about the location of Miss Reed's vehicle. I'm still staying with that for just a quick second, if you don't mind. Is that right?
Correct.
You were asked where that SUV was in relation to Ryan Nagel's car. Is that right?
Would I be able to look at it to refresh my memory, please?
Well, let's start with this. Do you remember being asked about Karen Reed's SUV and Ryan Nagel's truck?
To be honest, I've had a few grand juries, so if you could show me what you're talking about, I would greatly appreciate it.
I'm going to have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Try to speed things up, Your Honor, if I could have just a moment.
Okay, take your time.
The entire grand jury, direct your attention to 182 to 187. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the entirety of your state court grand jury.
Okay.
I'm going to direct your attention to pages 182 to 187. You can probably scan those pretty quickly and just let me know after you scan those.
Okay.
Those pages, I should say. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you have an opportunity to glance at those pages?
I did, yes.
As you glance at those pages, my question is a relatively simple one, but I wondered if you have an opportunity. At no point, when you were describing the vehicles that were out front, in front of 34th Fairview on that night. At no point, under oath in front of that grand jury, did you ever mention a Jeep? Did you?
I was not asked about any other vehicles out front.
So when you were talking about the vehicles that you saw in front and with some painstaking detail, talking about the black SUV and Ryan Nagel's truck, you just left out the Jeep because nobody asked you about it.
I didn't read anything in that about Ryan Nagel's vehicle.
Did you miss it?
I must have.
Okay.
Is it in there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
You,
what?
in fact, asked about Ryan Nagel's Jeep, weren't you?
If you want to show me.
Well, I don't want to sit here and... Did you review your
I
transcript?
just read it all. I didn't see it.
Ms. McCabe,
Objection.
you can't interrupt when I'm talking.
Okay.
I will do the same for you. Okay? As you reviewed those pages, you were asked about the cars that you saw in front. Did you not?
I was asked about Miss Reed's vehicle.
Okay. And at no point did you mention a Jeep being behind Miss Reed's vehicle, as you testified today, correct?
The questions were all about Miss Reed's vehicle.
At no point, my question is this, it's yes or no. You did or you didn't. Did you mention ever in that grand jury that there was a Jeep behind Miss Reed's vehicle? Yes or no?
I'm not sure. I'd have to read it all.
As you sit here, do you recall mentioning the Jeep?
I was asked about Miss Reed's vehicle, and those are the questions I answered.
I can't, you need to keep your
Okay.
voice up, please.
Sorry.
Let's try this again. As you sit here, do you recall mentioning the Jeep, ma'am?
I would have to reread the transcript.
You don't have to reread the transcript to answer that question. Do you recall mentioning the Jeep? If you don't, you don't.
I may not have been asked about the Jeep, so I did not mention the Jeep.
Fair enough. Did you and Mr. Higgins, between then and now, between the date of the incident and now, have you ever had a conversation with Mr. Higgins about where his Jeep was parked?
No.
Have you ever had a conversation with Mr. Higgins about anything having to do with this case?
I do not believe so.
Did anyone, leaving Mr. Higgins aside, did anyone tell you anything about Mr. Higgins' Jeep and what he testified to?
No.
Were you ever asked by anybody to mention a Jeep being behind Ms. Reed's SUV in this trial?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Were you ever asked by anybody to make sure you mention a Jeep being parked behind Ms. Reed's SUV in this trial?
Not that I recall, no.
After you arrived and you noticed this SUV outside, you started paying somewhat close attention to it, did you not?
I went to the front door and looked out the window at the vehicle, yes.
As a matter of fact, you texted as soon as you saw the vehicle, that 12:27 here, correct?
Correct.
And then a few minutes later, at 12:31, you texted, "Pull behind me," to John. Is that right?
Correct.
And then at 12:40, you texted, "Hello," correct?
Correct.
And at 12:42, you texted, "Where are you?"
Correct.
And at 12:45, you texted, "Hello," correct?
Correct.
So that's 5 text messages, and each time you texted him, you were walking to the door and looking out at the vehicle as you're texting, correct?
I know for the first 2 I was.
You testified at another hearing, another proceeding, on June 8th, 2023, correct?
Correct.
In that other proceeding, did you testify that you got up and sat down and got up and sat down every time you were texting?
Possibly.
Okay. So if you got up and walked over to the door and you see the SUV and you text, and then you walk away from the door and sit down for a second, that would be one text and one view of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
So if you did that at 12:27, 12:31, 12:40, 12:42, and 12:45, you'd agree that's 5 times that you were up and down looking at the SUV, correct?
I'm not sure if I did it 5 times.
How many times do you think you did do it?
I know I definitely did it the first when I said here. I know I definitely did it when I said pull behind me, because that's when the vehicle had moved up a little bit.
And then did you see the vehicle move up again? A second time?
Yes, that's when I told him to pull behind me.
Okay, so that's the first time. So just so we're clear, when you first saw the SUV, it was stationary, correct?
When I first saw the vehicle, it was straight ahead, out the front door, stationary.
And you texted here.
Correct.
Then you walked back over to the window, or, I'm sorry, to the door, to the storm door, and you said, pull behind me, correct, at 12:31.
Correct.
All right, at that point, you saw that it had moved up a little bit, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you saw it move up a second time, which you just said you did, then that would be a third time that you had to have seen it and texted, correct?
Why would that be third time?
Because it only moved once so far. You saw it move twice.
So the first time I saw it, it was here, and I said here, and then the next time I texted, I said, pull behind me. So that was one time, two times.
Keep going. You said you saw it pull up again a second time. You said you saw it move twice.
From one place to the flagpole to further up.
Right, so that's 3 times that you're up to the door.
Okay.
Is that yes?
I'm telling you, my memory is twice to the door.
Mr. McCabe, it's not a trick question. You just testified that you saw the car move twice. By definition, that has to be, you looked at it 3 times. Stationary, move once, move twice.
Maybe I used the wrong wording.
Maybe. I'm gonna have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
So, when you testified in front of this other proceeding, didn't you testify that you walked up and sat back down 5 different times, watching that car and texting every single time?
Would you be able to show me that?
It's gonna take a minute. I have one, Your Honor. Thank you. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Take a look at those 4 pages. For the record, that's pages 780, 784.
Okay.
Bait stamped. After you've had a chance to review that, just look up and let me know. May I?
Yes.
You had an opportunity, Ms. McCabe, to review those few pages from your testimony in June of 2023.
Yes,
Did you talk about, you were asked about getting up and sitting down and looking at the SUV several different times and texting?
yes,
In fact, you indicated that you got up and looked outside through that storm door several times, correct?
yes,
And as a matter of fact, you looked every single time that you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something, correct?
correct.
And then after the last time, which would be 5 times, 5 texts, 5 looks, after the last time you texted, you got back up, which would be a 6th time, and the SUV was gone. Just chronologically.
Correct. My husband and I were both getting up and looking, so,
I didn't ask you about your husband.
okay,
Just about you. The answer is correct.
yes,
Okay. So you're indicating that you're trying to communicate with the occupant of the SUV that was sitting, what would you say, 30 feet outside the front door?
I'm not good with distance.
It's further than you and I are from each other, correct?
Correct,
At least double that, right?
correct.
Okay, so could you give me, maybe yards are easier, like 10 yards, 15 yards?
Again, I'm not good with measurements.
Okay. Just right outside the front door, though. Within,
Straight outside, yes.
well, straight outside until it moved.
To the front door. Of the front door is where it was.
Ms. McCabe, straight outside until it moved, according to you, correct?
Yes, and then it moved, correct.
And then moved the second time, correct?
Correct. It moved to the flagpole, and then it moved up again.
Okay. Then you indicated that you had an absolutely clear view of the SUV. You were asked those questions, correct?
If I had a clear view,
Clear view.
I could see the car out front, yes.
You were asked, you were looking out the front door of the house. Your answer was, uh-huh. You were asked, and there's a window in that door, right? Answer, it was opened. Yeah. Question, so you had a clear view outside. Answer, a clear view outside. Yes. Remember that?
Yes,
Okay. And is that your memory? You had a clear view?
I had a clear view of Karen's vehicle outside, correct.
So you're indicating that you're trying to communicate with the occupant of the SUV that was sitting, what would you say, 30 feet outside the front door?
I'm not good with distance.
It's further than you and I are from each other, correct?
Correct.
At least double that, right?
Correct.
Okay, so could you give me, maybe yards are easier, like 10 yards, 15 yards?
Again, I'm not good with measurements.
Okay. Just right outside the front door, though. Within,
Straight outside, yes.
well, straight outside until it moved.
To the front door. Of the front door is where it was.
Ms. McCabe, straight outside until it moved, according to you, correct?
Yes, and then it moved. Correct.
And then moved the second time, correct?
Correct. It moved to the flagpole, and then it moved up again.
Okay. Then you indicated that you had an absolutely clear view of the SUV. You were asked those questions, correct?
If I had a clear view,
Clear view.
I could see the car out front. Yes.
You were asked, you were looking out the front door of the house. Your answer was, uh-huh. You were asked, and there's a window in that door, right? Answer, it was opened. Yeah. Question, so you had a clear view outside. Answer, a clear view outside. Yes. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that your memory? You had a clear view?
I had a clear view of Karen's vehicle outside. Correct.
And then you reiterated that with the following exchange. Question, was the amount of snow coming
Objection,
down
Your Honor.
sufficient?
So let's hear the question.
Was the amount of snow coming down sufficient to obstruct your view of the vehicle, or did you have a clear view of it? Answer, I had a good view of it.
Objection.
The objection is as to the form of the question and the reading.
No, that's okay. I'm going to allow the question.
Was that your testimony?
Yes.
So not only did you have a clear view, you indicated in your words you had a good view of it, right?
Correct.
Then you noticed that the SUV was gone after the 12:45 text, right?
Correct.
So you're looking at that SUV over the course of between the beginning text and the end text. It's about 19 minutes, right? 12:27 or so to 12:45, 18, 19 minutes, something like that, correct?
Correct.
You maybe add a minute because you got back up and didn't text, the SUV was gone, right?
Correct.
So you would agree, we just do some basic math, you're looking at that SUV on average about every 3.5 minutes.
I guess I'm. If you want to pull out the times, then you can look at them.
Well, we talked about the times, and you agreed that you were texting between 12:27 and 12:45,
Correct.
right? So if you were just to divide that by 5 times, getting up and looking, I don't know, I'm doing the math in my head, maybe it's every 3 minutes or so.
Correct.
At no time did you hear any noise or sound outside that was unusual? Caught your
No.
attention? You didn't hear any squealing of tires or squealing of brakes?
No.
You didn't hear any screaming or yelling?
No.
You didn't hear any loud voices or foul language or doors slam?
No.
You didn't hear any verbal argument or like revving of an engine, anything like that?
No.
As a matter of fact, you didn't hear any collision or crash, did you?
No.
As a matter of fact, the entire time that you looked out at that vehicle with that clear and that good view, you didn't see anything out of the ordinary, did you?
No.
And you would agree with me, as you looked at the SUV, you're looking over the lawn to the SUV out at the street, correct?
Correct.
There was no obstruction between you and the SUV. You've already testified to that. Is that right?
Correct.
And you could see everything in your field of view.
Correct.
And then you saw the SUV gone. It had driven away after 12:45.
Correct.
So I have a question, Ms. McCabe.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the body?
I have no idea. I'm assuming the body was on the front lawn.
The problem with that is you were looking at the front lawn, weren't you?
I was looking at the vehicle and where it had moved.
Do you know what field of view is?
Would you like to explain it?
You had a clear and good view across that lawn to the SUV, didn't you?
When it was straight out, I did, yes.
You had a clear and good view of that SUV the entire time until it left, didn't you?
I could see the black SUV, correct.
Nothing was obstructing your vision.
I wasn't looking at the ground.
I didn't ask you about the ground yet. We'll get to the ground. Nothing was obstructing your vision, was it?
No.
So you had a clear and good, your words, not mine, a clear and good view of the SUV
Yes.
and everything in front of it.
I never said everything in front of it. I saw the SUV. It's black. It has lights on. And as it moved, I could see it with its lights.
You had a clear view of everything between you and the SUV. All the things closer to you and the SUV.
I wouldn't say that.
So your view was obstructed on what was between you and the SUV, but not obstructed on the SUV?
That's not what I was saying.
No, of course not. Because if you had a clear field of view to the SUV, you could see everything in front of it as well, meaning between you and the SUV as well.
If I'm looking straight out at an SUV, I'm not looking down at the ground.
Let me ask you a question about that. You're focusing right now on my face
Yes.
as you're answering these questions. You think you'd see, I don't know, an alligator sitting in front of me if it was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
You think you would see something? Can you clearly see that there is nothing between you and me except a podium?
Yes. Well, there's a table.
And you don't have to look down to see that, right?
Correct.
You're looking directly in my face, but you can see things that are between you and me because you have a field of vision, right?
Objection.
So I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute.
Ms. McCabe, as you looked over that flat lawn with that good and clear view of the SUV, you could see the SUV and everything between you and the SUV, correct?
When I looked out the front window, I could see the SUV clearly, like I'm looking at you, well, right now, and it was further away than you are.
And you did it not once, not twice, not 3 times. You did it 5 times and then a 6th after it was gone, correct?
Correct.
And after that SUV was gone, and you looked out that window with that clear and good view, there was no body, was there?
I never saw a body.
Thank you.
I wish I had.
Sounds like that's a little rehearsed.
Not at all. It's not
Objection,
at
Your
all.
Honor.
I'll let the answer stand.
You left the location about 1:45. Is that right?
Yes.
You didn't see anything out of the ordinary as you got in. Was it your car or Mr. McCabe's car?
It was my car.
When you got in that SUV of yours, you didn't see anything out of the ordinary outside, correct?
I wasn't looking outside.
Okay. I know that that is the answer that you want to give to every question. My question is yes or no. Did you see anything out of the ordinary?
No.
Thank you. You didn't see anything out of the ordinary when you got in the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anything out of the ordinary when the vehicle backed up?
No.
When that vehicle turned to the, I guess it would be to the right, to leave toward Chapman, and the headlights illuminated the area in front of you? Didn't see anything out of the ordinary then?
I wasn't looking out the front window.
Again, there's that question. There's that answer. My question is, did you see anything out of the ordinary?
Well, you were asking about the headlights out the front. That's why I said I didn't see anything out there front.
Oh, you didn't see the headlights turned on?
I was turned to the back.
Right. Did you see that the headlights came on in the car?
Yes, in the driveway, the headlights came on.
Right. And you're seated in the front passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
So, according to you, you got in the car and immediately twisted yourself, looking directly to the rear, and never turned back around and never looked outside the windows.
Correct.
Got it. Is that normal for you?
Yeah, I'm a very chatty person, so I turned to talk to the girls.
So you made sure that you didn't look out the window.
Nope, that's not it at all.
You also didn't hear anybody, you did hear some of the girls in the back, since they were so chatty, talking about bread and sandwiches or something, right?
Correct.
But you never heard anybody say anything about noticing anything out of the ordinary, correct?
Correct.
You didn't hear Julie Nagel say that she saw a black object in the yard.
Never heard that.
But you were turned around looking right out, according to you, correct?
Correct.
Indeed, engaging them in conversation, according to you,
Correct.
so that you could make sure that you weren't looking out the front or right windows.
Objection.
Can you answer that? Is that why you did it?
No, that's not why I did it. I was talking to the two girls.
When you got home, what did you do?
I went up to bed.
What time do you think you got home?
Somewhere after approximately, between 2 and 2:15.
Took you a few minutes to drop the girls off?
Correct.
When you got home, you got on your phone, correct?
Yes.
Before you got on your phone, you went upstairs to your bedroom.
Yes.
Did you use any applications? Well, let me ask it this way first. Did you make any phone calls, just using your phone, any phone calls after you got home, either downstairs or upstairs?
I do not believe so.
Did you use any applications to communicate with anybody through Wi-Fi? Do you know what I mean by that? Like FaceTime audio or WhatsApp, phone calls, things like that?
Text message?
No, actually, and you may not use these, but I'm asking, did you use any kind of third-party app that uses Wi-Fi, VoIP calls, other than just a phone call?
No.
Okay. Sounds like you don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Fair enough. So it's safe to say that you didn't use or you don't use any multimedia to communicate. You don't use FaceTime or Snapchat or Signal or anything like that.
I've used FaceTime with my children, yes.
Not for phone calls.
No.
Like FaceTime audio is a way that you can make a call. No?
I've FaceTimed with my kids at school, but,
That's videos. Right?
oh, okay, so yeah, I guess not.
You didn't do that night either.
Not that I recall.
Did you, now I'm going to get back to your question. Did you text anybody?
I did, yes.
Who did you text?
I texted my sisters, and I texted my husband and a friend in a group chat.
You texted your husband and a friend in a group chat?
Hmm?
Is that yes?
Yes,
Your husband was home?
yes.
I want to switch gears for a second. And ask you real quick about later that morning when you went to John O'Keefe's house. You mentioned on Friday that you went into his house and began to look around for him when you first got there with Carrie Roberts and my client, Karen Reed, correct?
Yes,
You indicated that you looked in his bedroom and saw that the bed was made, correct?
yes,
You indicated that you looked around other parts of the house looking for him, searching for him. Is that right?
yes,
You obviously saw the blankets and pillows on the couch downstairs in the living room, correct?
I peeked over at the couch.
And you're aware that Karen Reed stayed on the couch that night to wait for John to come home.
I'm not aware of that, no.
You testified on Friday that my client said at the scene, when you got back to the scene, 34 Fairview, just after 6 a.m., that she said, I hit him 3 times. She declared it, correct?
Correct.
Not once, not twice, 3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, correct?
Correct.
You have a very specific memory of that event, do you not?
I do.
Obviously, that's an incredibly impactful thing for you to remember. Is that right?
It was an impactful statement, yes.
And you remember it today as well as you remembered it the day she did it?
Yes.
I may have just a moment. Thank you. May I?
Yes.
It's just the entirety. I'm going to hand you a document. Did you, before I ask you about that specific document, did you review anything before you testified in preparation for your testimony today or Friday?
Yes,
Did you review your grand jury testimony?
I did, yes.
Understood. You did review your grand jury testimony, correct?
Yes,
So the document in front of you, you recognize it?
yes,
That is, in fact, a true and correct copy of your grand jury testimony that you gave on April 26th, 2022. Is that right?
correct.
You'll agree that your testimony in that case, in that hearing, rather, April of 2022, that was just a few months after the events in question, right?
Yes,
You were under oath at the time that you gave that testimony,
yes,
and you were subject to the penalty of perjury when you were answering those questions, correct?
yes.
Ms. McCabe, I'd like you to turn to the page, since you've reviewed this, turn to the page of that document where you ever said in your testimony that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Was I asked what she said?
I get to ask the questions.
Well, I'd like you to direct me where to look.
I want you to look at the entire grand jury testimony if you need to, and turn to the page where you ever said that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
I'm not sure if it's in this document, but I can tell you today with 100% clarity, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him on that morning.
So it's not in that document, is it?
I'm not sure if I could take the time, and do you want me to read over 200 pages?
May I approach?
Yes.
No, I don't want to take your time. Because you just indicated that you reviewed this document in anticipation of your testimony, right?
Correct.
So you've gone over it recently.
A few weeks back.
So we don't need to read it. You know that you never testified to that in the grand jury in April of 2022, don't you?
I don't know that as a fact. I would have to reread 222 pages, or however long it is.
You think you might have missed it when you reviewed your testimony in anticipation for, I'm sorry, when you reviewed your transcript in anticipation for your testimony?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I read it a few weeks ago,
It's probably the most powerful part of your testimony, ma'am.
and I will never forget it.
Objection.
Okay, so that's stricken.
Would you agree? Do you think that's a powerful part of your testimony?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
It is, yes.
Did you see it in the transcript?
I cannot recall. It's over 200 pages.
May I approach on?
Yes.
These are select pages. 190, 192, 193, 201, 208, and 109. I'm just going to show these questions for each one of these, but I'll give you these. Yes. These are select pages out of your grand jury testimony. Isn't it true, Ms. McCabe, that you were asked when you testified no fewer than 12 times what my client said, either at the scene or on the way to the scene?
At the scene, I was asked twice, according to this.
My question is, isn't it true that in April of 2022, you testified no fewer than 12 times, 12 separate statements you gave about what my client's statements were, either at the scene or in the car ride on the leading up to go into the scene? You remember that?
I do.
Okay. So on page 190 of what you're looking at, it should all be highlighted.
It is.
You testified that my client said to you over the phone at 4:53 a.m., she asked the question, did I hit him? You see that?
I do.
Number two, on page 192, talking about when y'all were in the car on the way to the scene, Karen asked the question, could I have hit him? You see that?
Yes.
Page 193, lines 1 through 2. You testified that in the car, once again, she asked the question, could she have hit him? You were relaying that, meaning, could I have hit him? Correct?
Correct.
Page 193, line 23. In John's driveway, she asked the question, quote, and she's asking if she could have hit him.
Yes.
Page 201, driving to Fairview. She asked the question, what if I hit him? And could I have hit him? Correct?
Correct.
Page 202, lines 1 through 2. While driving to Fairview, she asked the question, could I have hit him?
Correct.
Page 208, lines 24 through 25, outside at Fairview, she asked the question, did I hit him? And went on to ask, could I have hit him? Correct?
Correct.
And your testimony was also on page 208 that Karen was yelling nonstop in front of the female EMT, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Correct?
Correct.
May I approach?
Yes.
That's 12 times that you reiterated under oath, under penalty of perjury, in April of 2022, what my client's statements were, either at the scene or leading up to getting to the scene. Correct?
Correct.
Every single one of those, 12 separate times, you indicated that she asked a question, something like, could I have hit him or did I hit him? Correct?
Correct.
Not one time in that testimony did you say she declared, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Did you?
The questions that were asked, when she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, that was at the scene in response to an officer asking questions. What I just read was us when she first called me, or when we were driving in the car, or when we were at John's house. So I was answering the question that I was asked.
So you believe that you weren't asked the question, did she say to an officer, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? And if you're not asked the question, did she say to an officer, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? You're not going to volunteer that she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. That's your testimony.
No, that's not. My testimony is, an officer was asking her what his name was and different things about him. And at that point, she was saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Which officer?
I do not recall.
Well, you recall the I hit him. You just told me that was the most impactful thing in the morning.
It was shocking.
So what officer did she say this to, supposedly?
I was more focused on her and her hysteria than which officer was asking the question.
So you have no idea who the officer was even, correct?
I'm not sure which officer was asking her. It could have been an EMT. Someone said, what is his name? Does he have medical conditions? How old is he?
But you were asked that question, ma'am. On page 208, you were asked what she said in front of the female EMT who was asking her questions. And her answer was, your answer was, she said, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That is correct.
That
But
would have been a good time to offer up that she confessed, I hit him, right?
Objection.
Sustained as to that form.
Ms. McCabe, the truth of the matter is you've manufactured this new story for this jury because you think it helps you out.
absolutely not.
You called 911 at 6:04 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, Exhibit 36 has already been marked and entered. I would ask to play a portion of that 911 tape, not the entirety of it.
Okay?
With the court's permission, I'd ask to play about runtime 1:30 to 1:45. If you can give me 2 seconds and pause it. Yes. Do you recognize the voice on that tape?
Yes, that's mine.
Appear to be a true and accurate, at least that portion, a true and accurate reporting of the 911 call that you made that morning.
It was a very brief clip. I'd have to hear more.
Let's go ahead and play starting at runtime 1:30 to about runtime 1:45.
46 years old.
46, how long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
Stop. Was that you?
Yes, it was.
Is that the 911 call?
Yes, it was.
And what did you just say?
I said, I don't know. He got out of the car.
He got out of the car,
Mhm.
is what you said, correct?
Yes.
And this was at 6:03 in the morning, correct?
Correct.
This is before you ever talked to Brian Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to your sister Nicole Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to Chris Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to Julie Albert.
Correct.
You haven't talked to anybody at this point other than Carrie Roberts, correct?
And Karen Reed.
And my client.
Correct.
And in that 911 call, you said he got out of the car, didn't you?
I did, because Karen Reed had told me that she had left him there.
Your words were, he got out of the car, correct?
Correct.
Did you make any other calls other than to 911?
I called my sister.
What time was that?
I believe it was after the 911, but I'm not sure.
You claim that your sister didn't answer, is that right?
She did not answer.
But you do know that your phone extraction shows that that was an answered call at 6:07.
If that's what it shows, but I can tell you she did not answer the phone.
And you are as sure about that as you are, my client said, I hit him 3 times, right?
I certainly am, yes.
Perfect. You also called her at 6:08.
I might have called her twice, yes.
Your Honor, I have an exhibit. This may be as good a time as any to take a break. If you wish, I just have to cue it up. It's up to you. I don't mind.
Folks, we'll take morning.